us in the English language on Canal International. Thanks for joining us. My name is Gladys Ambodiba. Stay tuned for the headlines. Preparations heightened for the election of the new Bar Council president in Cameroon and other members of the executive. Thousands of lawyers have converged on the nation's capital, Yaoundé, for the elective General Assembly. And who are the candidates vying for the post of the bâtonnier for the next 2 years? You have the details in this newscast. Then we talk about the murder scene of a young boy by his 21-year-old stepbrother in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, that was replayed today in the presence of the state attorney of the Mfundi Court of First Instance. The young man was arrested at the Bachenga railway station as he tried to escape after leaving his stepbrother killing his stepbrother at the Bata Longkak neighborhood in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. You have more in this newscast. And then we talk about World Desertification and Drought Day in Cameroon. There are fears of famine in the country in the days ahead following the continuous degradation of arable land in the northern part of Cameroon, which supplies a heavy quantity of foodstuffs to the southern part of the country. 8 million out of the 12 million hectares of land degraded is found in the 3 northern regions of Cameroon, already causing a greater part of the population growing hungry. Those were our headlines. Stay tuned for developments. Once again, we begin the story with the Bar Council General Elective General Assembly taking place in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, tomorrow, Saturday, June 18. We have lawyers who have converged on the nation's capital, Yaoundé, for the Elective General Assembly to present or vote for the new Bar Council president. We have Hysen Chia, who has been going through the list of the candidates and present them in the following report.
Who will be at the helm of the Cameroon Bar Association after this Saturday, June 18th? Only one of these 7 candidates will wear the prestigious crown of bâtonnier as minutes die down to the elections. Barrister Marie-Claire Atangana Bikuna, who has been interim bar president for over 2 years after the passing on to glory of Barrister Patricia Kunti, seeking a full-fledged mandate, but possibilities getting slim. Tough opponents like Barrister Mba Eric Mba of the Abumto team, current bar president's representative of the Northwest, who equally has the backing of a host of lawyers, some of them members of the current bar executive. Another tough challenger is Barrister Ntoko Justice of the Hurricane team, Barrister Ngola Alex Fosso, a Douala-based advocate and member of the Bar Council, vying for the 3rd attempt. On his part, Barrister Memo Olivier, a Yaoundé-based advocate and current member of the Bar Council, is embarking on the bâtonnier battle for the first time. Another female contestant of the list of 7 is Barrister Tambeli Evelyn, Douala-based advocate and member of the Cameroon Bar Association as well, and Yaoundé-based advocate Barrister Douga Titanji Ernest completes the list of the 7 aspiring challengers. The die is cast, and over 4,000 lawyers are expected at the Bar Council Elective General Assembly at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex to decide through the ballot box who becomes the new bâtonnier for the next 2 years.
Yaoundé, the murder of a young boy by his 21-year-old brother was replayed in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, in the presence of the State Council of the Mfundi Court of First Instance. The young man was arrested at the Bachenga railway station as he attempted to flee after killing his brother at the Bata Longkak neighborhood in Yaoundé. The details with Umukusumi.
After spending the night drinking with his stepbrother last May the 31st, here at Batalonkang neighborhood in Yaoundé, the relaxed moment led to a fight broke out, resulting to him stabbing his stepbrother.
The fact is that last month, Mr. Yetna Francois, 19-year-old, was murdered by Sangolo Blues. He was his colleague. They used to work together, but I think that night they drank a lot. They had a dispute and they started fighting.
Though these presumed murderers says it was an accident, the superintendent of police, Thierry Medo, demanded why he was first moving around with a weapon and after the act did not come and report himself at the police station.
You cannot say it is an accident as he said. That accident could not have occurred if he didn't took the habit to walk with a cutlass. He was with a cutlass. They went to drink somewhere and he was with a cutlass. And the abuse of alcohol, the abuse of drug, and the fact that he had a cutlass was the main cause of that criminal act.
After the incident, the supposed murderer disappeared while investigation was ongoing, but was later caught last June 1st at the Bachenga railway station trying to escape to the far north region. Acts like this is becoming very rampant in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The superintendents of police used the occasion to call on the Yaoundé inhabitants to collaborate with the forces of law and order to eradicate these acts of vandalism.
And then let's go to Boya in the southwest region of Cameroon, where law enforcement officers in the crisis-hit regions have called on government to tackle the phenomenon of financing of terrorism, which is fast gaining ground in the region. The clarion call was made in Boya as they met to reflect on legal actions to be taken to sanction the crime. Ines Ondombala with more.
The socio-political unrest plaguing the northwest and southwest regions has given rise to several societal ills, with financial crime being one of the most recurrent. Experts have decried the financing of terrorism as a whole in Cameroon and have called on the government to address the phenomenon.
The English-speaking regions have been noted for cybercrime and terrorist financing, with what is currently going on in the country at the moment. It is quite high. Following the National Risk Assessment and the Mutual Evaluation Reports, it was highlighted that there are vulnerabilities in the anti-money laundering system, and the magistrates, they do not prosecute for the crime of money laundering. But most of the convictions that are given are for underlying offenses to money laundering. So that is one of the main objectives. It's to raise awareness, it's to empower them and to give them the necessary skills that they need to use to better handle the case files that NAFI sends to them.
In Boya, magistrates and law enforcement officers from the crisis-hit southwest and northwest regions are reflecting on legal actions to be taken to sanction the crime.
We are expecting convictions, court decisions for the crime of money laundering, because prior to now, they have not been convicting in this regard. We are currently organizing seminars in collaboration with the Directorate General of the Treasury to train microfinance institutions and other reporting entities on how to report suspicious transactions to NAFI.
Officials of the National Agency for Financial Investigation say strategies are being put in place to render the financial system of Cameroon more credible.
In relation to adhere to international standards, we must bear in mind that the fight against money laundering and terrorist financing contributes to rendering our financial system credible, transparent, and with integrity, and enhances trust in international financial partners. This is an imperative for the security of our country, because without financing, there could be no terrorist acts that our country is currently witnessing in some areas.
While chairing this meeting in Boya, Finance Minister Louis-Paul Moutaze called on judicial and law enforcement officers to be more professional in the discharge of their functions in order to curb acts of money laundering and the financing of terrorism in the country.
Let's talk about the revalorization of the minimum wage of Cameroonian workers. Consultations are ongoing in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Gregoire Owona, met with the representatives of employers and workers' trade unions of the public and private sectors on Thursday in the nation's capital. This to arrive at a reasonable amount that could be paid as a minimum wage. More on that with Beatrice Ngamo.
The discussion is all about seeing an increase in the minimum wage of workers here in Cameroon. That for sure is certain. But arriving at what should be suitable as wage for a simple Cameroonian, that is, the amount, is the bone of contention. The question at the center of discussion between the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Gregoire Owona, and representatives from the employers' organization, GECAM, and workers' trade unions. The increase proposals varies from 12 to 100% to the actual minimum wage, presently at 36,270 francs, vying for a minimum wage of between 40 to 100,000.
Un homme pauvre du Cameroun par jour a besoin de 900.
A poor man in Cameroon needs about 931 francs daily to live. The National Institute equally says an average Cameroonian family has 4.5 persons. Working with that number on 25 days gives a total of 104,000 francs. From this, we feel an average amount of 100,000 as minimum wage is the best. After 2 hours of in-camera heated discussion, no compromise was arrived. The proposals need to be analyzed, taking into consideration the views of all the parties on the economic visibility chain. Displaced phrases can be spotted in the meeting room, but some are hopeful there is some progress in the procedure. It is a common wish, as most heads of enterprises are okay for the increase in the minimum wage of workers, so too the workers. Ideas were raised and suggestions were made. The Minister of Labour has called on Finance Minister to study the possibility of the feasibility of the increase. Once settled, the agreed amount will be the next discussion. Rendezvous has thus been taken in 2 weeks' time at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. The workers, unionists, more than anxious.
And Cameroon joins the rest of the international community today to observe a world desertification and a drought there. There are fears that in Cameroon, Cameroon may soon experience famine in the days ahead following the continuous degradation of arable land in the 3 regions, northern regions of Cameroon, which supplies a large quantity of food to the southern parts of the country. 8 million out of the 12 million hectares of degraded land is found in the 3 northern regions of the country, as we hear in the following report.
Out of the estimated 12 million hectares of degraded land in Cameroon, 2/3, that is, about 8 million hectares, is found in the northern regions. This is caused by deforestation, climate change, overgrazing, and poor farming methods. Consequently, it affects production and provoke conflicts.
Lorsque vous avez 8 millions d'hectares restaurés,
when about 8 million hectares of land is affected, it leads to drastic drop in agriculture and livestock production. If you must have noted, conflicts between communities is becoming a common phenomenon in the area, and this is caused by lack of access to water and land. Climate change is also a cause.
Et cela entraîne malheureusement un phénomène de chômage.
According to experts, desertification and drought have led to drastic drop in food and livestock production in the northern parts of Cameroon, which supplies maize, millets, cattle, and others to the southern parts of the country, a situation which has been partly blamed for the high cost of living in Cameroon. We know what comes from these regions: onion, granules, and if there is the need to restore 8 million hectares of land, it means there is a drop in production. and this is being felt even in the cotton sector. People are complaining. We could also talk of animal incursion, such as elephants that destroy land because their areas are degraded. About 40% of Cameroon's northern border with Nigeria and Chad have been reportedly affected with desertification, and it has resulted to famine threatening about 30% of the 3 million people of the far north region, including over 80,000 Nigerian refugees and 100,000 internally displaced persons.
And let's talk health. We have hundreds of sickle cell patients in Cameroon that are using the World Sickle Cell Day on June 19 to actually encourage other people that sickle cell patients could live with the disease. As Cameroon joins the rest of the community to actually observe Sickle Cell Day, warriors like Ashu Egbe Foundation are battling on to project this more. You have that in the following report with Morinde.
Salamatu and Kelsey, both 28 years old, have been battling with sickle cell from the time they were born.
It was not really diagnosed like sickle cell. They were always saying that it's witchcraft, that eating me maybe it's a wizard. Mostly the pains that really affects us. You can't do something for long. You can't do strenuous activities. Even if you have to do, it won't be that much.
They are constantly traumatized at the treatment they are subjected to by society.
Most of the times you get the stigmatization from friends, from people you meet along the way, even from family members.
Take it on you. If you want to have children or if you want to get married, make your electrophoresis test.
Today, they are advocating for know your genotype, what most Cameroonians must go for and stop giving birth to sickle cell babies who will later live in pains and die in misery.
If you have regular follow-up and you meet the doctor every month, you can reduce the frequency of the crisis. And since we started doing that year in particular, since a year now, the patients are doing well. There are very less cases of a crisis, and we are partnering with other hospitals.
While launching week-long activities prior to the celebration of World Sickle Cell Day on June 19, the Ashu Egbe Foundation brought together medics, sickle cell warriors, its honorary members, and partners for a common cause. The press conference on June 10 at the Bingo Baptist Hospital has been described as timely, with a call for governments to prioritize diseases like sickle cell. Evidence from Cameroon suggests a carrier frequency of 20% and prevalence of about 20 on 1,000 births from epidemiological reports.
It is with that report that we wrap up this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. The French version will be yours at 7:50 p.m. with Aimé Katere Mukuri. Up next is Debrief the Sport with Mark Chuamo. I will be yours again on Monday, same time, God's willing. Bye-bye and happy weekend.